Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. We got ourselves a best of 3 here between Dark in the bottom left side of the map and Mr. BYUN in the top right side. Shopify Rebellion for him. And, of course, Talon Esports for Dark down here. Now, this is going to be a best of 3. It is, of course, the public test realm. It's the OlimoLeague tournament is back. Big thanks to Chiswick for sponsoring these events. And, of course, Olimoly herself and Crank for running those and casting in Korean. It's awesome to see the scene back in there, and it has been a lot more non-Korean competitors as well. Maybe it's because it's being played on the PTR, which means there's only US servers for that right now, so it's not going to give that massive ping advantage when Europeans are playing. But it does mean we've been getting a lot of exciting back and forth different matches, as this is a pool-first opening. Now, this is weird, because Amygdala is one of the most straight-up maps in the map pool, right? In that... Well, maybe not straight up. That's not really the right way to describe it, right? Because you come out here, you've got this gold base you can take, but your opponent can attack from the other side. The thing is, the whole middle area, you can see rocks all over the place. So there's rocks all around, locking off this entire middle area, which means the rush distance is quite long as you have to go around the outside of the map. So going for a pool first, maybe trying to sneak some links across, counting on the fact that BYUN, of course, the man who never, ever scouts, usually not going to send an SCV across the map. Unfortunately for Dark, though, with a pool first, look, he's waiting for 6 Zerglings. You're hoping with this build order that they go 1 Rax expand. The reason why Command Center first, which you'd think is greedier and therefore more exposed to it, is actually better, is the Command Center is going to be finished by the time those Zerglings build and get across the map, which means you're not going to catch it off guard, you're not going to be able to find that massive damage, and as long as he just, you know, raises the orbital, runs the SCV to the high ground, hides behind his wall off, BYUN should be in a really good spot. He's also got double gas coming up behind it, so he will be following up with Hellions, which might actually be an issue, because Dark, the crazy person that he is, I would never expect you to do... Is this even good on this map? It's going to take forever for those roaches to get across. The problem that BYUN is not going to run into is the fact that he defended this exact same opening, also Command Center first, also no scout, against Shin in the Pigasaur Weekly. This week, that's right, the Pigasaur Weekly number 6, I think it was game 1, Whispers of Gold. The Zerglings held back, didn't go in, they tried to hide themselves. And let's see, does Dark do the same thing? Oh, he's gonna... Oh, the Overlord's baiting. The Overlord's baiting. He's gonna bait the Marine. Oh, because the Marine's coming to the low ground. BYUN's saying something like, what the hell, dumbass, why are you scouting with your Overlord there? Dark's like, oh, whoops, oh, I didn't mean to leave me Overlord out there. And at the last second, the Zerglings come in. BYUN with his Marine on the low ground. That's his only ranged fighting unit right now. This is a big problem, because that Marine will go down. The SCV is going to try to run away by mineral walking it to the far left side of the map, which is a good move, but you can see he even pulled back the weak Zergling there, deep in the red. SCV a bit exposed right there. The SCV, he repositions it, re-rolls the RNG, does BYUN. Every time you hop on and off, the SCV picks a new position to build from, and that factory comes up. Now, you know what? Having your Lings here forces him to not swap the factory, but that's actually good for BYUN because there are roaches already on the way across this map. If he keeps building Marines, he can defend the high ground with 4 and then 6 Marines. But if he swaps around, Hellions are going to be very bad against this. The SCV doesn't see it. He does not see that roach. He has no idea. Okay, BYUN, you need to keep building. No, you need to keep building Marines. Oh, he's swapping over to the Hellion Banshee because he's thinking about the next step. Remember that BYUN's played completely blind. And his vision, guys, he has no idea that was his first scout with the SCV just then. If he was building 2 more Marines, they'd already almost be out. If you have 6 Marines, you can crush this just with an SCV pool. You can lose 10, 15 workers and still be ahead. But I feel like Dark's going to get a lot more damage than that. BYUN with a bit of a wide-eyed expression going, what the hell, man? Oh, this is hitting hard. It's hitting fast. And those Hellions are going to be in trouble. The reactor's about to burn down. 2 Hellions will pop out momentarily. 1 Hellion pops out, the next one already at 90% complete. The Ravager is exposed on that side, but look, he even takes down a Marine before it goes down, and the Roach is focused down one of the Hellions. There's so little damage left, he might straight up be dead. This is brutal. The Marauder almost out, the Viking almost out. They could help a little bit. Marauder's going to add a bit of damage. Bile's trying to land, but it doesn't land. SCVs with the surround. Hellion starting to get focused down. The Roaches need to focus the Marauder. The Marauder pulls back to that left side, and with the Widowmine blocking out as well. Let's say blocking out. Popping out and blocking. Blocking out, right? It was blopping out? Blocking and popped? I don't even know, man. Overlord does go down here. Viking is going to get that kill. It's a nice survive for BYUN from a terrible spot, but it's surviving enough. The Overlords that are rallying across the map all turning around to go home, not wanting to give that Viking any more free kills. It's already got 1. Problem for Dark is he doesn't have a 3rd hatchery. Very late to send a drone out to that 3rd. But on the other hand, his 2 bases are fully saturated. And he's going for a 3rd and 4th Queen, a few more Zerglings, Ling speed. It's going to be a Cloaked Banshee to follow things up. Cloaked Banshee, I mean, it's good if there was a follow-up Roachling attack right now. Problem is that's going to delay things like Marines, tanks, and third command centers even longer. And he's already very far behind on his third command center is BYUN. Playing just 2 command centers. Remember, often in these scenarios, if you're playing 3 command center and you've got 3 orbitals dropping mules, you're not nearly as far behind. But being behind 12 workers and only just starting a third is rough. That being said, the work account will close. And the reason why that work account's going to close is you have to build these 2 gases. That's 2 dead drones. Third hatchery, another dead drone. Every time you build a building with Zerg, it does cost you money. So keep in mind, whenever a Zerg commits to early aggression, cuts those corners, if we go like double Evo chamber, that's another dead 2 drones. But never mind, because there's something right here on screen and in the production tab. That's right, guys. Pneumatized carapace, I believe is what it's still called. It is an insanely good upgrade that allows your overlords to move fast. And what is that going to be used for? Those of you who've been watching a lot of Zerg vs. Protoss over the last few years know all about the German taxi. Did he scout the cloak? How does he know? Oh, he did see the starport swap over. He did see the starport swap over earlier, so I think he can assume, based off of that scouting, that he knows exactly what's going on here. Oh, and he even gets an SCV with red hit points there. Dark with a nice catch. So he's saying, look, if I just hit you with 6 queens, how many queens is it? 4. Okay, so he's just going to put 4 queens inside the German taxi. This Overlord loaded in. Roaches, Ravagers, Zerglings behind it. Banshees are going to be worthless. And look at this. BYUN's about to find out. His second and third barracks are so delayed. His engineering bay only now starting. And he sees it. He sees the Overlord coming. And BYUN, what can you even do? You can't fight the Queens and the Overseer. His best bet is probably just attack these Zerglings that are rallying out and at least kill a few units that rally past. I don't think he can get the Banshees home in time. He's now decided, okay, screw it. I'll turn around and come back. But it's a little bit too little too late. Widowmine out front the base. Dark, with the attention to detail, splits it. Only loses a single Zergling. And the Marauder behind the wall-off hanging out. Queens are going to drop across this wall-off. Good luck repairing this bad boy. Overlord starts to drop creep. Queens can put a creep tumor down as well. Yep, 2 creep tumors go down. That's going to, of course, increase the speed as more units come in. And, oh, he doesn't even get to raise the wall. The Lings are in. Oh, this is a disaster. Marines getting behind the SCVs. Good SCV pull to try and buffer their siege tank. Out as well. Siege tank's going to try to siege up. The Lings accidentally get misclicked on the refinery, but he's still coming in here. Those Lings still going to find a little bit more damage. The Marines need to deal with it right now. They do get on top. The Marines and the Marauders and the Banshee doing what they can. Going to need to raise that depot and repair it, though. Mass Ravager on the natural. Lots of SCVs are in the open. The command center needs to cancel building SCVs and lift off. You do not want to lose that command center. Then again, you've just got no firepower. You've got 5 Marines, 1 Marauder. The siege tank getting jumped on. Banshee's pushing back the Banshee. It goes down to the Biles and the Queens. The Viking falls, the tank falls. And just like that, Dark, on the biggest rush distance map in the pool, says, I'll just do what you least expect, and takes map 1. All right, a bit of a nasty strategy there in game 1. Dark goes in for the gamble, gets some momentum, and that's how you want to start the series as Mr. Dark. BYUN, on the other hand, has to remember who he's playing against. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest rush distance in the map pool. You're playing Dark. You're playing Dark. I don't know why I keep doing that. Diarche. DRK Wilder. Anyways, he's honestly, he's the guy who will rally 6 Lings and then Roaches across one of the bigger rush distance maps. He'll take that gamble because it's not as big of a gamble when you're playing BYUN who doesn't scout. And I really thought the CC first would be fine against it, but the Marine getting lured to the low ground, him getting a little bit distracted with the micro there, Dark did a really good job of just executing it as nicely as he could. And now here on El Dorado, he's going to go for a more standard hatchery first build. Good way to mix it up. We've got our daily message in the Twitch chat when I'm casting Dark, guys, of isn't Dark in the military? Aren't you not allowed to play in the military? Guys, Dark is exempt from the military, and the reason is he's really cool, and apparently the military is never going to take him. It's been 4 years of Dark being on the cusp of military service now. At this point, I've given up on it ever happening. This might be my last event. This also might be my last event. My name's Dark, by the way. This one here might also be my last event. It's every event's been that for years. And they keep not giving him his final notice to join the military. So don't get me wrong, that Korean military service is looming big overhead. But we're going to be seeing a hatch pool into 3rd hatchery. This is the gasless 3 hatchery build for Dark. Now, obviously, they've made a few changes to how early they force people to do their mandatory military service in Korea. So I think as a kind of professional sports person, essentially, as the esports athletes fall under the same umbrella in Korea, I believe they get to delay it a bit longer since, you know, taking a break from your sporting career in your 20s is really bad if you are, you know, a young sports person, right? And it does kind of apply in esports as well in terms of, like, you know, if you take a few years off and there's a new generation with more plastic brains that have been playing younger, learning new techniques, it is incredibly hard to get back on top after that. So I think one could argue in StarCraft maybe it's, that decade plus of experience these guys have would get them back there pretty quickly. So Marine comes out, second Marine on the way there. Reaper's going to come in, and he's going to see a normal hatchery first. So I think BYUN there cancels the second Marine and starts the reactor now, reactively. So he was expecting, there might be early Zerglings. I'll build a second Marine to give myself some defense at home. But as it is, not able to kill anything here. And Dark is going to be okay. Now, with this opening, normally about 3 minutes 15 is when Dark will take 2 gases. And then he'll drop a Roach Horn sometime about then as well. And start hitting for roaches. There's no way you ever play Link Speed with this opening unless you are basically pushing your greed so far beyond the pale that you're an actual crazy person. Speaking of greed, BYUN says, well, the best way to fight greed is with greed. I'm going to take the gold base. So he builds this command center down here even before mining the minerals. And yes, it's forward. Yes, it's very exposed. Like a single Ravager could come behind and kind of ruin your mining. But I think he figures, hey, you don't have any gas with this build order. You're going to be stuck sitting at home, worried about Hellion run-bys, worried about libs, worried about 2-1-1s. So I think I can take, a risk here. In a normal game, becomes a very just standard, decent play here in this one. I would say Hellion Banshee is a bad idea. I think if you're taking that forward third command center, personally, I think 2-on-1 is a better play. And the reason for that, ooh, very nice, is because Dark could, as he drops the question mark. I love the smack talk. I think Dark could do the same sort of attack again. And if you're relying on Hellion Banshee with such an exposed third command center, it's very risky. I mean, you could always lift it, pull it back, try to defend this ramp. Personally, though, I do like the idea of the 2-on-1. I think the argument against going 2-on-1 after the third command center, on the other hand, would be, well, what if he does just make like 7 roaches? And he doesn't full commit, but he just sends 7 roaches across. You're not going to be able to defend the gold. You're going to have to lift it, run your workers away. By the time your own stim kicks in, Dark will be up on 70 workers, 4th base, finishing. Plenty of roaches to defend your marine pressure, and you just kind of lose all that economic momentum. Now, he's going to go fake cloak here, guys. That's the interference matrix upgrade, which he has no intention of finishing. It's just to make it look like it's upgrading. So the Overlord sees these bubbles going on the tech lab, and then when the Marine kills it, he can cancel that upgrade. Hellions really wanted that creep tumor. Not really worth losing a Hellion, though, guys. You got to be a bit more sparing in the use and throwing away of your units. So Banshee comes out. Second one's on the way. No cloak there. Stim is coming in. And you can see building a reactor. So he's going to go second barracks, then third barracks. We'll swap onto this reactor as well. Very solid sort of opening here for BYUN. Dark, though, 4th base in the top right. He's gotten away with that greed we were talking about, guys. Guys, where's the Roach Horn? Where is... I guess he saw the... He didn't even see the command center. Guys, Dark didn't even see the command center, and yet he's skipped Ling Speed, skipped Roach Horn, making a lair. Oh my lord. The levels of greed. What the hell, Dark? He had 4 Zerglings and 7 Queens. Oh my gosh. He's so greedy. He's so greedy. He did do a gasless build, remember, guys, into 3 hatch. Oh, man. I mean, I always talk about how Cyril in Dallas showed us some of the greediest builds we've ever seen and got away with pretty much every single one. And, like, the Terrans just didn't do a good job of punishing him there, right? Guys like Maru just didn't stop him at all, and he got away with it. And that inspired guys like Dark to add their own kind of flavor of greedy builds and say, hey, yeah, you need to... I'm going to alternate extreme aggression, game 1 in the series, game 2 extreme greed. He's got 1-1 started, Ling Speed, should be starting Baneling Speed as soon as that's ready as well. Now, I do think, yeah, mining out the bottom side and taking a 5th base down here, maybe that gold base on the 6th, or you could take this gold on the south side even, could be nice. You also want to open these minerals up here and maybe perhaps break the rock tower so you can tear these rocks down as well. Because being able to pass through here, I think, tends to favor the Zerg more than the Terran. More pathways, more options to flank a long-range Terran army is always going to be good. Now, BYUN's got his 4th and 5th barracks up, hasn't started building the reactors. There we go. And his armory's coming in at a very early time. So his 2-2 will be able to start the moment this finishes, but about dead even on the upgrades with Dark. Now, Dark has that 13 worker advantage, 75 workers to 61. Problem for Dark, you could say, well, why not go 85 workers since you had such a good start? It's not really a problem. It's more of a choice. He doesn't play a high worker count. He never has. Banshees are going to come in. No Spore Crawler on this base, guys. Those Banshees could find some good damage, but they are actually just waiting above the Moopies right now. The Ewoks having a little bit of a party up here over what appears to be one of BYUN's Marines that they've lynched. Wow. Well, look, this one's playing the bongos on his helmet. It's It's very Return of the Jedi. Okay, Banshees are going to come in. A couple of drones going down. Good quick pull for Dark. 3 drones not too bad, as long as his queens get up there with an Overseer, and then he can just put a Spore down for the future. Marines and Hellbats are on the front. Plenty of Banelings ready to respond, but gets himself a queen and an Overlord already. Hellbats apparently happy to sacrifice themselves, and BYUN's just going to pick up and glide away. Good, hot pickup micro for him. Now, the queens are going to need to split, right? A few queens there, a few queens there. Otherwise, these Banshees are going to continue to just cause a ruckus. Spore Crawler, easy pick off. And those Banshees finding value. Now, that 3rd command center on the gold is great, but where's the 4th? That's my question, guys. He's got double factory going. He's got 2-2 started at a good time. Where's that 4th command center for BYUN? Playing early 2-2 and everything, I kind of feel like he should be going in that direction. BYUN's trying to get some forward momentum, but look at Dark's supply, dude. BYUN needs really good fights. Luckily for him, +2 Carapace got forgotten. Dark did not have the gas for +2 Carapace. That's a big mistake. Dark has plenty of gas. He's making burrow, but he just doesn't realize he forgot that upgrade. Widow Mines are firing here. They're getting some decent shots. Some very decent shots. That second one blew up a good 6 or 7 Banelings there. Very nicely done, guys. Zergling's going to be trying to surround these Marines right now. And a little bit slow on the pickup for BYUN. BYUN's Widow Mine's a bit slow, but he's got Marines on the high ground as well. And this could be a nice shooting gallery for the Widow Mines. A few decent splashies. Nothing too crazy or game-ending. But the Marines getting very good trades. You got to realize that Dark's just being a little sloppy in cleaning this up. He did get rid of the Widow Mines, but it took him a little bit longer than he should have. And that Spore Crawler's still not in position. He's got to just move it there, but he knows if he moves it, the Banshees will move over and chase the drones down. And this is now 8 drones down, lots of mining time, lots of disruption, and lots of distraction, which you might think isn't that big, but this is causing Dark to get caught out of position constantly. It really has caught him out of position multiple times. Now triple drop in the north is going to catch him as well. Dark's vision on the map on that north side, not as good as it could be. Marines behind the gas. Zerglings trying to get surface area. They will get a few of these Marines down. Good defensive maneuvers. Ooh, Queens are finally going to deal with the Banshees, but at the same time, Marines are on the front. Lingbane rolls forward. Watch out for the Widow Mines. Okay, Widow Mines not getting the biggest shots. Dark split his army up nicely. He gets rid of the Banshees. Finally, he's starting to, like, limit these options. You can see the way BYUN's just being annoying. He realizes that Dark is under the gun. Dark's making some mistakes, and he's starting to take advantage. Now, +2 Carapace did get remembered, but it's about a minute later than it should be. Meanwhile, 2-2 is about to kick in for Terran. Vehicle plating as well, and that 4th planetary coming up in the north side. I think he's probably even maybe thinking about a 5th in the very center of the map. BYUN probably just take a safer one behind would be the better play. Kindness plating is coming in as well. This is, of course, all played on the new patch, the public test realm, guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Like, Ultras are a bit better because Ghosts are a lot worse. A lot of Terrans want to play a momentum style. They want to take the fight to the Zerg, try to win in the mid-game. Don't let Zerg get too big. And that's exactly what BYUN's going to do here with a pure Marine mine army. When Ultras hit the field, these Marines are not going to be very good. He doesn't have many Marauders just yet. He's starting to produce them, but he's looking for the damage now as he focuses down the Banelings. Widow Mine's being retargeted very nicely. That Widow Mine shot could be massive, but it doesn't matter. The Marines did get hit by the Banelings, but not enough Banelings to take them all down. Dark losing his 5th base and a bunch of drones on it, and just a bit too much chaos here from BYUN's aggression. Dark got away with a very greedy opening, but then he just made too many mistakes against the follow-up pressure to the point where it was just a little mistake here, little mistake there, and he just was taking way too much distraction damage. The Banshees bouncing around for minutes on end. The Marines on the front picking units off. BYUN was able to pick and choose when and where the fights happened, whilst, Ultras do come out, but no, he's already lost too many workers, because he can just pick up now. As long as you don't stand and fight with the Ultra, you'll be fine. And he picks up, saves some of those units. At the same time, Lings are in on the gold base, but they haven't really done the big damage we were looking for. Oh, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Okay, Marines finally dealing with it at the same time. Marines drop on the high ground over here. You don't want to lose these medevacs at this point. I know BYUN's getting good value, but he cannot throw all these medevacs away. He's got to be more careful. And indeed, looks like he's going to try to do that. A few borrowed Zerglings there. 59 workers for Dark, 69 for BYUN. 59 workers for Zerg is what many of us would refer to as an absolutely crap economy in Terran vs. Zerg. You want to have at least 70 workers. Like I said earlier, Dark's the kind of guy who plays on a bit of a lower economy than many other Zergs. He'll only play on 75 workers, where other players will play on 85. Being on 59 is a disaster. And with these Marines coming in, that's a huge problem. The Zerglings did unburrow, killed a few more SCVs. Ling's coming in behind, trying to deny that 5th base as well. But on the right side, the Ultra does force him to pick up. He's going to try and pick up and lift to the other base. Is BYUN. He loses his 5th command center. No cancel there. Lovely snipe for Dark. Dark, finally, now that he's putting some counter pressure on, is finding some value. The 2-2 Ultralisk starts to get some good damage as well. Look at that. But nice micro for BYUN. Takes down the Ultralisk with that pack of Marauders. Widowmine still recharging and firing here on Overlords and drones rallying into the 4th base. Or 3rd base, I should say, of Dark. Medevac goes down in the north. Dark down to 52 workers. Ling Bane rolling into the gold. He's finding some value, is Dark, but he's doing it from a very bad position. Dark is already mortally injured. We are watching a man with so many arrows. You know, in a video game, when you've just been pincushioned, you're running around, you go back from first person to third person view, and there's like 14 arrows sticking out of your character's body. That is Dark right now. He's swinging around with his shield. He's sweeping Terran off their feet. He's knocking down SCVs and planetaries left, right, and center. But I mean, the bleed effects are too big at this point. Even with the critical damage he's doing to BYUN, you got to realize that Dark, he's facing a 112 army supply Terran. There's just way too much damage over time. The bleed effect is real, guys. It's being stacked on top, and BYUN's still counterattacking in the midst of this. Now, he's only got... Guys, this is a Honmono. Guys, he's got a pack of orange and yellow bio with 1 red hit point medevac with no energy on the other side of the map. This is kind of a derpy push for BYUN right here, dude. He Honmonos in. Dark has a massive cleanup on these units. Dude, the chaos is getting to BYUN right now. Dark is hanging on like an absolute Chad Gamar. The Ultralisk's coming, trying to run away, run away. Does have burrow, tries to go for the burrow animation, but gets shot down before he can get underground. The Marine Marauder hanging out. BYUN's back to his initial 3 base, whereas Dark does have a 4th base on the top that's actually mining. Dark is still in an absolutely mortally wounded position, but we're seeing here, you know, Dark, like I said, got too defensive for too long, wasn't able to handle any of the pressure. The Banshees did too much, and he just started getting caught out of position repeatedly, right? And BYUN started kind of toying with him in that early mid. The moment Dark started counterattacking, getting in charge on the map, it's BYUN who looks very flustered here. BYUN has been playing these last few minutes from a massively superior position, and despite that, Dark has made him sweat. Of course, as the Ball of Marauder medevac arrives, ain't nothing to defend. There's a few Banes, 1 Ultra, 1 Zergling. Dark has been broke for far too long, and like I said, dude, he just went full rage mode. But it's kind of like when you have an effect in a game where, you know, when rather than dying, your unit goes berserk for a few seconds, gets extra strength. It's kind of like a, you know, a last flurry of vengeance before you die. But at the end of those few seconds of you running around and like I said, just waylaying your opponents in all directions the way Dark did in this game, at the end of those few seconds, the death effect still kicks in. You still end up falling to the ground and dying, even if you killed like 40 Marines and SCVs at the same time. But dude, Dark just will not give up. Still, even there, clears the workers on that 3rd base down there. Awesome plays by Dark from way behind, but hats off to BYUN for the non-cloak opening, faked cloak. The Banshees bounced around. The Marine held back, pressuring this front base, and he just used that really early reactive gold base to the fact that Dark played a fast 3-hatch gasless. And I think this gold base really set him up nicely for the quick 4th, well-timed upgrades. And even though BYUN did struggle with Dark's counterattacks, he was already too far ahead. He gets to 1-1. All right. Dark in the top left side of the map. I think he had a great start. Kind of got away with it, but that 3rd base being built right on the gold did help out BYUN, and he just had some very nice pressure throughout. Whispers of Gold is the next map, guys, and it's going to be a command center first. This is the map where we saw BYUN shut down Shin's pull first into Roachling push, which is what I kind of touched on in that first map. But it looks like this is going to be a hatchery first, so BYUN might be favored there. I don't know. Command center first against hatch first. Maybe command center first is a bit better. It does slow down your pressure, right? Because your factory can be a little later and that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be much later if you go, say, Marine before and you skip the Reaper. You go Marine straight into factory reactor. We'll see how it goes. Now, with this map, it's a very wide front. Lots of ledges across it. It feels like a very good map for multi-prong. And honestly, I feel like this map should favor BYUN. Why main base is wide open to drops. He can pick up, drop down here. And where do you expand as Dark? I mean, Dark's going to go 3-hatch gasless again. He's going to take this 3rd hatchery here. But then once you take this 4th base there, or this hatchery here, and then especially once you get to a 5th base, it feels like you are wide open to enemy drops. Very hard for Zerg to defend that, especially with Queens being 25 minerals more now. Now, Dark's going to start long distance mining. Be a little more efficient technically if he triple stacked them on some of these. but he's just a bit too lazy, and it doesn't change too much. It's a few minerals difference. Not something Dark cares about. Just prioritizes making things easy for himself. BYUN is going to go 6 workers on gas reasonably early. He was a little slow to put on that second gas. And no doubt we'll be going for a factory very quickly. Overlord sees the command center first. Dark comes in. He wants him to see. He's like, I'd like to show you this, Overlord. So notice he moves it in vision, and he's going to show the booty to the command center. You see? See? Yeah, this is the equivalent of twerking in your opponent's face, guys. Did you guys see that MMA fight? Was it like a few months ago? Where didn't the girl like knock the other girl out, and then she like twerked in front of the unconscious girl? Because that was one of the friggin' craziest things I'd seen. You know, I was like, that's what the Overlord dancing is in StarCraft. In this case, it's before the fight, so I'd say it's not as BM. If you do that after you just burrowed Baneling, killed 30 Marines, it's a bit more offensive. But that's essentially the sort of characteristic that Dark and BYUN have when they're playing each other, right? A lot of question marks when one of the players makes a mistake in the chat. A lot of kind of bit of playful smack talk between two mates. Starport goes down pretty quickly. Now, you do go Starport before third command center with CC first here, because you've gone for the quick second gas. You're going to go straight for Hellions, straight for Banshees, Marine on the high ground, and Dark has a free path. Now, I think an Overlord would probably be a good idea here at some point, Dark. Hey, there we go. Dark with 6 lava floating and 3 Overlords building. Oh, classic. There was nothing happening in this early game except his build order. But of course, Dark... And he's going single gas this game. This is very late for a single gas, guys. Chat says, twerking before the fight is okay. Twerking after the fight is BM. Twerking during the fight is adult entertainment. Oh my gosh. To be fair, I do have more respect for the influencer boxing matches where like it's OnlyFans girls fighting and then lifting their tops up after than I do for Jake Paul, so... Just happy Mr. Tyson didn't get killed yesterday, essentially. But it is what it is. I'm also glad I didn't really watch it. I watched 2 minutes and then fell asleep, and then woke up and went, damn, I missed it. And then I was like, I didn't miss anything, did I? And everyone was like, no, you lucked out. I was like, good. Anyways, double gas coming in here. Dark has not got a lair yet. No Roach Horn yet. This build order for Dark is... And now another 4 Overlords. How can you get supply blocked again? You were supply blocked like 40 seconds ago. You got 10 lava. What is this build, man? Roach Horn also has an opening on the south side, so it's not creating a wall. I think Hellions might not be able to squeeze through there. Oh, the women's fight. I feel it was the 2 girls that fought right before was a much better fight for sure. I watched actually a good bit of that. I watched a lot more of that than the Jake Paul fight, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I watched this. I actually got my days confused, and I thought it was going to be the same. I thought Jones and Stipe was going to be yesterday, and I was like, I was just using it as a waiting room for that, and then I realized I was a day early, and I was like, oh. I probably wouldn't even be waiting for this at all if it wasn't for me just basically waiting for Stipe Jones, which is going to be later today, which I think is also going to be just an old man getting beaten up, sadly, but it is what it is. Anyways, we'll talk about StarCraft. So I know most of you aren't here for fighting, talking. Double Evo chamber, it's going to be double Evo 1-1 Roach. Dark could go for a classic timing, but he's making Link speed now. So, okay, he's not really... He might go melee Carapace. So he's just going to go a handful of Roach Ravager with Roach speed, I think. And what he's going to do then is he's just going to... But he's making range! Why? But it's... What? Oh, Dark's build orders are so fascinating. Oh man, Hellbat Banshee timing. Old school Hellbat Banshee timing. Why doesn't he have any Roaches? Dude, Dark has so much money. He's not even spending his money on Roaches right now. He's only building 5. He should be building a lot more Roaches than this. Finally, an Overseer gets over here. The Banshees are taking damage. His drones will run away, but he's losing a lot of Queens on that right side. This should have been a very easy hold. I don't like BYUN's build order at all, guys. But Dark, not building that many Roaches, being very late on his units, despite having a very greedy start due to his supply blocks in his opening. But Hellbat Banshee's kind of outdated for a reason. I think BYUN was hoping to catch Dark going for very greedy into Zerglings, not having a Baneling Nest ready, and then catching him out. As we saw, though, because it's a Roach builds do counter these builds. It could have countered it much harder. It still was an okay hold for Dark at the end of the day. It should have been a complete hard counter. It was still a counter. Now, there is a Roachling counterattack coming across the map. These Hellions actually would be very useful to help defend these Zerglings at home because he doesn't have many Marines yet. But with tanks on the high ground, I think that kind of defends itself, right? You can take a little bit of damage and be A-okay. 9 roaches still building. I think we're going to see a Nidus Worm potentially. I feel like Dark might just have that instinct now to just... Because he's not droning. He's just making roaches. I really feel like Dark might just drop a Nidus Worm. And this is a really good map for it. Nidus in this main base is so far away from the front. It's hard to deflect that. Not to mention a Nidus on the front reinforcing can also be effective. So much Ling Roach being produced. Dark not worrying about the long game. He's just worrying about the right here, right now. 1-1 is so delayed from going Hellbat Banshee. Going for Cloak and an Armory that early is rough. A 4th command center is already up. Wait, what? When did he build this 4th? What is this build order, guys? Oh my god, I'm so sorry for talking about fighting. I will rewind this replay and explain this build order. And when I say explain, I will go... Did he accidentally build an extra command center, or was that part of the build? Who does a Hellbat? I was wondering why his supply was so low. BYUN just has no units. He's got 2 tanks, 18 Marines. He does have combat shields and stim, but he's 1-1 so late. He's making a very early +2 vehicle weapons in a second factory. He needs to lift and run away. Running towards this Roach Ravager is the worst decision you could possibly make. Run! Lift the base and run! You have to run away as BYUN. Fighting as BYUN right now makes 0 sense. This is one of those creative build orders BYUN's doing that really does not add up. I do not know why he left 12 SCVs and why he stimmed towards the Ravagers. That was a nonsensical decision for BYUN. He needs to abandon this base, mate. Run it away. You can't be losing this. Dark's only on 66 worker, 3 base Mass Roach Ravager. But BYUN's build order is insane, man. I can't explain it. I'm going to try to explain it in the post-game, but I mean, Dark is just committing. He's gone to 75 drones now. He's got a 4th base mostly saturated. Losing mining on the 3rd, you might think kills you here, guys. You know what killed him more, though? 12 SCVs and 16 Marines going down. It's bad in this situation, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's an issue. Chat saying make a Banshee. I mean, a Banshee can push him back temporarily. You're absolutely right. It's probably the correct thing to do here, but swapping that over when you desperately need more medevacs to heal your Marines... It's bad. It's you know, it's the better of 2 bad decisions. He's going to go for the tanks on the high ground with the Overseers. The tanks are trying to get out. BYUN with a beautiful pickup on those siege tanks. Dude, the micro from BYUN is amazing. It's just, he doesn't really have the numbers. He's trying to block with a command center. Guys, when you're trying to block a Roach Ravager thrust with a command center in the middle of a fight, like, that should be very low on your priority list, but it was actually kind of a cool move. BYUN just doesn't have many tools to play with right now. He's making +2 armor, no +2 attack. And of course, Dark's got a high of a 3rd Evo chamber on the way. You know, when Dark's making a 3rd Evo chamber, he's having fun, guys. Hydra Den coming in. His 2-2's almost finished. The Ravagers do get jumped on a little bit by these Marines. That was a good run forward there for BYUN. But BYUN does need to keep it in his pants. He gets a few more Ravagers. Oh, he loses a bunch of Marines, though. He needs extreme efficiency. He just doesn't have it. And you can see, whilst the tanks do cover a fair bit, he probably needs a tank up on that far north as well. That command center is going to need to lift again. Oh gosh, Biles on the medevacs. Biles on the medevacs. Medevacs taking 2 big Biles. They are deep in the red. Marines trying to run forward. The Lings are cleared. Now, you might think Dark's getting a bit wasteful, but I think he realizes that any trade's probably going to be a good trade. If he can stop you mining this 3rd, you are kind of dead. And as long as he keeps your numbers low, the Ravagers are in decent enough numbers to fight against this. So it's just a disaster for BYUN. Now, Dark's supply is a little low. But he's making melee and Hydra upgrades, so he's going to swap into Hydras and Lings. We are having a little bit of a lag spike there. Apologies for that one, guys. And a Baneley Nest coming. So he's going to swap into Hydraling Bane from here. This is interesting. Yeah, I was expecting Lurkers and Vipers. I think that would have been probably a checkmate move. But, you know, Hydraling Bane can work. It's a different approach. Oh my gosh, he just killed 3 medevacs with Biles. Oh man, dude, he can actually play. So this is actually, Dark's hit a point what we call 16 Ravagers. This is a North America of Ravagers. Now, there's a rare ability that unlocks in StarCraft. Most people don't know about it. If you hit 16 plus Ravagers and you hit a North America of Ravagers, you unlock an ability called Meteor Shower. And basically what that means is you can fill an entire screen with so many corrosive bios. You could be one of the best micro-Terrans in the world and you'll still lose half your medevacs and half your army to it. It's the Meteor Shower ability that only unlocks from North American players that are silly enough to make 16 Ravagers, as well as Dark, who, by the way, has basically been doing artistic impressions of North American ladder play, but executed at a god tier, you know, world championship caliber for the last decade. He's just a big believer in fun. So he does go for that. Now, I do think this Hydraling Bane tech was completely pointless because he's not even using it. Now he's going Ultras and Vipers, but he's way later than it is. We have to criticize. Like, the attacks have been good for Dark. The Ling drop in the main would be amazing, but because there's a medevac, he doesn't want to get it spotted, so he's dodging that. I still think he wins this game, but he is kind of... I'm a little worried that he's screwing around a bit too long. Like, he is letting BYUN, right now, get very high in supply. If BYUN maxes out with 2-2... Heavy Marine tank. He's building... By the way, guys, does BYUN have a 3rd factory? BYUN's playing triple factory mass siege tank. And you know why? No one builds Broodlords. But look at that. The Ling Drop's going to ruin him. Oh, this is so good. The friendly fire on the tanks. He's going to get the 2 tanks on the high ground. At the same time, he runs in the left side. The Lings take out those tanks. Those Biles trying to stop the Marines jumping on front. He's happy to just kill the tanks and disengage with the Ravagers. Remember, Ravagers are 3 supply each. So the North America Ravagers come in. I love that he just meteor showered in the open. Killed like a single Marine with 20 of those different meteor corrosive Biles. But yeah, this is basically a swap into Ultra Lingbane Viper, guys. But because he's got so much supply in drones, 81... and he's got the Vipers and the Queens and 16, so 48 supply of Ravagers. It's kind of hard for Dark to finish him off, even though he's got a big 30 army supply lead. I think he should just attack this north side when his Ultras get here. He's trying to run forward and bile that tank. Did he get it? Nice. Yeah, he biles the tank. It's worth trading like a Ravager for a tank always, but especially in this scenario. It looks like the Vikings just intercepted another Overlord drop up there. Ultras are coming out with a lot of Zerglings, some Banelings. BYUN just not able to max out right now. He's trying to make +3 armor before attack yet again. Ahead on those upgrades. He does have +3 vehicle weapons on the way in. How many tanks he got? 8. He's got 8 siege tanks, but he needs to keep his Marines split, I would say, to both sides so that he can actually gun down the Zerglings. Otherwise, the Lings get on top of your tanks too quickly. If you can clear the Zerglings with your Marines, your tanks will eventually be able to deal with these Ultras and potentially the Ravagers as well, even though Ravagers are not armored units. Tanks do 70 damage a shot to these Ultras, only 40, I believe it is, to the Ravagers. Ultra Lingbane coming in from both sides. The tanks trying to defend. You can see those tanks doing a good amount of damage there, and he lifts his command centers up. Actually, an amazing hold for BYUN. Now, obviously, Dark has money to spare, but he's down 4,000 resources. BYUN's building a 5th there. That 5th is too exposed, though. Never build your command center on the front, guys. This is a basic mistake pros make all this time. Terran players, I've been talking about this for a while. It's hard with a Terran, but with a map like this, you can squeeze quite a few command centers in the back and in this central area. Try not to build them at the front, because that delay could be really good. Now, BYUN's still in trouble. The next wave could just crack him. He's got to keep respreading these tanks. You see how his tanks aren't set up? And the Vipers did die, which is big. But he's got to make sure he keeps these tanks kind of sieged up out here. And he's got to run the SCVs. Here comes again another wave. Another wave. There's not that many Marines here. The Lings are actually kind of a struggle to deal with. The tank's starting to take damage. Ravagers coming forward. He starts to bile. 2 of those tanks in the north are going to go down. Oh, this is actually a good attack. And it looks like it will be the finishing blow. There's just not enough Marines left over, like we said. So even the Lings are getting on top. The Banelings, the Ultras, the Ravagers. And yes, the Ravagers are starting to get choked up and killed. But you know what? He's happy to lose those Ravagers because he can replace it with Ultra Ling, more mobile units. Just keep a few Ravagers alive. 20 SCVs went down. He's going to hit the north with more Lings. Tanks without Marine support are very weak to Zerglings. As you can see, those tanks friendly firing. Ultras continuing forward. I thought he would have backed away with the Ultras, but I think he just realized there's not even enough healing for this bio. And look at that. Lings come from the left. Ravager Biles as well. And BYUN here doing an artist's impression of a build order that I cannot fathom. Dark with some really sloppy build execution in the early game does end up winning the series with some really clutch, overwhelming play, but we have to go back and look at Dark's build order, and I apologize for kind of missing what is this? Like, what was he... I don't even know if this was on purpose, guys. I can't explain this. I think he built the command center in the wall off, and because he doesn't play command center that much, I have to think he's kind of like, oh, wait, I haven't built my 3rd command center yet. Crap, I need to put that down. And he throws this down in the moment. But no, he goes 2nd and 3rd barracks. So he goes 2nd and 3rd barracks. So he's doing... It's a 3cc Hellbat Banshee. Right? He does the Hellbat Banshee. And then he just randomly throws a command... Do you think he was just floating too much minerals? No, he consciously throws it down. But this delay... Yeah, like, he should be going 1-1 upgrades and 4th and 5th barracks right here. This command center is crazy. So essentially, let's explain it. Let's assume this wasn't a mistake. BYUN's plan is you're going to be playing greedy Zerglings here, which is kind of a mistake because he's seen the Roach Warren. So committing to the Hellbat Banshee against a guy who's Roach Warren you've seen, not great. Let's see if he'd seen that when he committed to the Armory. So you can see Armory's already committed at this point. And he actually went Armory very early before he knew it was Roaches. So he was hoping that it was a Zergling build. And that was Dark was doing another one of these really greedy Zergling builds. And he's like, look, I'll hit you with Hellbat Banshee. It'll get some momentum. And then I'm just going to have a fast 4th. And I'm just going to play like an overwhelming mass biotank macro game here on Whispers of Gold. And he did. I think people were saying he was complaining about the map in the chat at the start of the game. I'm not sure because I don't read Korean. Maybe he was just trying something special, thinking, hey, I need mass tank on this base to make it, on this map to make it good. But as we saw, I mean, it just, his upgrades were so delayed. Like, check this out, guys. Engineering bays finish at 520. When do his upgrades start? He starts vehicle weapons before them, and he's starting, like, reactors up there. So he just forgets about his 1-1 upgrades for the entire... Like, this build just doesn't line up. This is what I'm talking about. This build makes no sense, guys. He finally builds a 4th and 5th barracks. He hasn't even started 1-1. Now, you could say this is the biggest build mistake. Forgetting his 1-1 for about 55 seconds is huge, right? Yeah, it's huge. It is absolutely huge. And then he's like, okay, let's land that command center. And then I think he goes 2nd factory and then 3rd factory both pretty soon after. But it just feels like Hellbat Banshee into Roach, never a good play. Doing it into a 4th command center is the gamble of all gambles. And it really did not pay off here. It's the moment the Hellbat Banshee got defended, Dark still had 66 workers. This was Dark's game to lose. So unfortunate kind of build order loss here for BYUN. Forgetting his upgrades for so long just made things even harder for him. I'm amazed he survived as long as he did, honestly. But yeah, fascinating. I guess he's just experimenting. Not something you see too often from BYUN in these tournaments. Hats off to Dark, though. He got the aggressive win in Game 1. He got the super greedy win in Game 2. And in Game 3, he played kind of middle of the road. And BYUN kind of impaled himself on his defenses. Really well played by Dark. Gets himself a hard-earned victory. And finishes off BYUN with a 2-1 victory. GG, well played.